Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And here we are 2 days in a row doing another Acolyte video, but actually it's not really a video about the Acolyte.
It never usually is with us. We didn't really watch the show. It's more about the circus around it.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the circus and we're going to talk about some clowns. We're going to talk about the situation with the Acolyte getting canceled. All of a sudden, you know, we knew something was up with the media because we saw several articles written in lockstep about how the toxic right-wingers on YouTube helped get this show canceled and blah, 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 blah. Well, it went a step further, and apparently there was a group on Twitter that, of course, it's always a group on Twitter, but there was a group of, they were actually Star Wars YouTubers that were on the other side of it from the fandom menace. Ooh, ooga booga. And they tried to demonetize a bunch of channels. They actually brigaded their fans to go false flag these channels. They actually tagged in Team YouTube and tried to get them to demonetize.
I think it was just a bunch of people, and they all posted the same thing around the same time.
It was the same time. Like, I mean, if you ever needed proof that this shit was coordinated, right? And we've talked about this before in the comic book industry, and we've talked about in the video game industry. They're all talking back channel on a Discord or a Slack, and they're all like, at exactly 10 o'clock, we're going to post a manifesto, and then we're going to do this, 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 and this, and we're going to overwhelm YouTube and manipulate the algorithm. I'm like, yeah, bitch, it worked in 2018. It doesn't work now.
Yeah,
right? It doesn't
and it's just
work
like,
now.
and at the end of the day, once again, it's because they're mags. They think somehow that these what they call them, alt-right, straight, toxic men, whatever, were the reason the show failed. Yet I don't know how they're the vocal minority, yet they somehow controlled the general public to those numbers is beyond me. It was the general public. The general public tanked your show.
Schrodinger's fandom. We've talked about it before. They're both a very vocal minority that should be ignored, and also they're the reason that your favorite thing got canceled or changed because, you know, they're catering to the bigots, and this is ridiculous. We're going to talk about it, and I think this is kind of the last gasp.
I hope so, because I'm getting so tired of it.
Well, we're seeing it. So it's not just in Star Wars fandom. I want to be clear. It's also happening in comic books right now. It's also happening in video games right now, that these people that have had control of geek spaces and have had the ear of these companies for 8 or 10 years, right? Because they've gone along with the narrative or whatever. They've never known a time before that. And now everything is kind of pivoting back to center out of necessity, because so many of these companies have bled out massive amounts of money trying to chase the DEI chuck wagon, or trying to, you know, create entertainment for the modern audience under the false belief that this is what people wanted because of Twitter and algorithm manipulation. Now we're seeing like video games come out and they have fewer than 1,000 players or even 100 players. And the Acolyte is the lowest viewed Disney Plus Star Wars show. It costs the most. Nobody wants this. So let's talk about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, yeah, woohoo if you do.
Woohoo. So
yeah, we recorded the video yesterday talking about Inverse blaming Lucasfilm for literally calling Lucasfilm cowards for kowtowing to the alt-right chuds, when I guarantee you there's nobody at Lucasfilm currently that would agree with these YouTubers, because they've been a constant thorn in their side for the last, 7-8 years.
No, but companies need to make money.
They need to make money.
And unfortunately, the result of their behavior has alienated audiences, and that's the issue. That's the core issue here.
Yeah, and they don't seem to understand that. They seem to think this is like about hurt feelings or whatever. And look, the general audiences did not watch this show. Show is very expensive, but they coordinated a cancellation. I need to clarify, another cancellation campaign. They actually all got together, all posted the same thing about the same time. And then they started tagging in Team YouTube to try, stupidly thinking that's how you get somebody's channel demonetized, right? Talking to the intern that's running the Twitter account. Yeah, but that's how dumb these people are. But yeah, they were tagging in Team YouTube and being like, the bigots, here's our manifesto. And we're going to go out and look at this manifesto. They all posted it at the same time.
Anna had posted it, yeah.
And they went after Ryan Kinnell. They went after Geeks and Gamers. They went after Neurotics. And of course, there's some of the biggest targets that have been the most vocal about Disney Star Wars. So this one here, we've got Kyle Katarn, It's time for you to be part of the solution team, YouTube. While you continue to allow these channels to be monetized, you are incentivizing hatred and racism.
How is it racist? Like, I have not once made any racist comments about anything involving Star Wars. I talk about the fact they keep accusing everybody of racism, not liking a show or not wanting to watch a show, or as a general public just didn't care enough to watch. It's not the same as racism. I'm sorry, it's not. And do I think people will go out and make some racist comments to the actors? Yes. Do I think that is the majority of people? No. Do I think that's the reason why the show failed? Hell no.
No. And we're going to look at that and we're going to blow their narrative right out of the water.
What do these things say?
Yeah, they basically put together a nice little presentation. And they're trying to get the attention of YouTube, and they're basically like, talking about Amanda Stenberg, and then it's going back to.
So they're trying to go after the Friday Night Tights people.
The Friday Night Tights people, yes.
So they're talking about the Acolyte, and they're saying about it's a tactic by former Breitbart, whatever, news editor, about targeting Star Wars actor Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones is out there making comments on her own, and Star Wars didn't do well because the general public didn't want that film.
Yeah, so they're again. This is, and we're gonna talk about this because this is where rewriting Ripley comes into it.
Wait, so Geeks and Gamers are supposed to encourage harassment against Kelly Marie Tran?
No, actually,
because of why?
They didn't. I know. Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers actually said nice things about Kelly Marie Tran herself.
I said too. I said I like Kelly Marie Tran. I don't like Rose Tico, but they don't provide examples. No. Saying the most unlikable character ever is not racism.
RK Outpost referring to Ingram's Kenobi character. Again, this is a fictitious character as dumb and retarded, but I do not believe he referred to the actress as being dumb and retarded.
Again, that's not enough evidence.
Yeah.
I don't personally like to use the word retarded in that regard, but that's me. I mean, some people use it all the time, and I see people who are leaning left use it all the time.
They're going after Star Wars Theory because he currently is the largest Star Wars.
But they're not providing proof.
No, it's just like, how can you monetize? And basically, blah, blah, blah. Here are some links. This is rewriting Ripley all over again, because they actually, and for those of you who don't remember, did we talk about rewriting Ripley? Yeah,
we did a video a long time ago, but we haven't mentioned it in a long time.
That's a name I have not heard in a long time.
I like to keep it that way.
They actually came up again in this because they're involved in this, and this feels like something they would put together because they're trying to tie it to like Milo Yiannopoulos. Nobody gives a shit about him anymore.
Okay, so rewriting Ripley, they were out there and they took a bunch of YouTubers, and they're trying to tie everybody to like Bannon and all this other stuff. It was like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
The 6 degrees of Bannon.
But it was like, and everybody, if you talk to somebody who once upon a time talked to somebody, you are alt-right. And I said to you before, I'm like, by that argument, a lot of these journalistic outlets would also be considered alt-right because they've interviewed people. Just because you talk to somebody doesn't mean you agree with their viewpoints. And then they all would be considered alt-right in some way because you could tie them to different things because who they talk to. But that's their job. But look, I'm looking here and it's saying action required. The Star Wars fandom. Excuse me, you don't speak for the entire damn fandom. The Star Wars fandom didn't watch the show. Okay, you don't speak for everyone when you put this. I know. Like, the arrogance seriously is unbelievable. You're not a fan unless you agree with them. No, hell no. The fandom didn't watch the show. That's what happened. And what amuses me greatly is the people they're bitching about watched the show so they could talk about it. So those views still counted to the low viewership count the show had. They didn't cancel the show. They actually counted their views towards helping the show. The people you're yelling about helped you.
Yeah, so they went on this big tirade, and they've been trying for years to take out. I gotta be honest.
Targeted harassment against women of color. Again, the same people will step over women of color or women in general if they don't agree with their viewpoints. Yep. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten marginalized twice. Other people who aren't white and straight and male got marginalized twice because we didn't agree with you. You step over us. But it's okay when you do it, right? Yeah.
So this isn't even about the harassment against these actresses. I don't think so. I think it's about this #renew the Acolyte, and this is happening at the same time that they've got these articles coming out, and they're probably all friends. They're probably all coordinating on Discord.
But they're not enough. The general public didn't watch the show. There isn't enough interest for the show to renew it. You're being a bull. Everything you're accusing them of doing, you're doing the exact same thing.
The fandom menace has run rampant for far too long. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to show you the reaction.
Ripley can just
sit
and spin.
A handful of YouTubers have jeopardized the safety of our community and the creators we love for too long. The Star Wars fandom demands action.
I'm part of the fandom. I've been a fan longer than most of you people were even alive. I think you're full of crap.
So YouTube.
Oh yeah, here's Lorena, and she's not white.
Yeah, this is funny. YouTube took a look at it. This is what YouTube said, and I can't see because they're in hiding. Team YouTube. Gold check. Thanks for reaching out. Just heard back and confirmed that this content is not violative and will remain up. We totally understand you may not agree with this decision, but we reviewed this video very carefully against our policy and they had a fit. They're like, what? Just one? We gave you a whole bunch. I'm like, these people have been obsessing over these Star Wars channels for years.
And you know what? Like, I'm not agreeing with anybody who's making comments that are, legitimately racist or whatever. And I'm not saying these people did at all. But I'm just saying, like, I think that saying I don't like your show is not the same thing as being a racist bigot. I'm sorry. Not watching your show doesn't mean you're racist. And the thing is, the media and these people are just automatically equating the two. And that doesn't mean the case. And basically, you're saying that the general public's a bunch of bigots because they didn't watch the show. And the people that actually helped count towards your viewer count, you're trashing. And so what if they watched it and didn't like it? The fact that they watched it, it actually helped your case.
Yes. So let's talk about this. We're going to blow this right out of the water. And again, they're going to, because they have to come out from a certain angle. So they're like, well, we know we can get certain people banned from YouTube for hate speech or whatever. So if we tie them to that, then listen, really what they're angry about is they're criticizing the shows that they like. It's as simple as that. It's very
That is what it is. And no matter how many journalists, in quotes, write articles about it.
Yes.
And to call everybody bullies, which was when I get mad, it's not going to change. It's actually hurting, not helping your cause.
So, yeah, we're going to reiterate. The general audience did not watch The Acolyte. If you're going to blame YouTubers, you might as well blame your neighbor or your grandmother or whoever else didn't watch the show.
I don't think they have that. I mean, no offense to those YouTubers who are big. They don't have the power to tank the entire show.
Like these guys, and I know like Friday Night Tights, I think they pull in like 15 or 20,000 people on a Friday. And that's a damn good number for a live stream on YouTube, but that's a drop in the bucket compared to the numbers that would be needed to completely destroy a show. And I know for a fact a lot of people hate watch the show just to see how bad it was. The general public checked out because Star Wars is a damaged brand. They don't care. Or they saw the trailer for it and they're like, yeah, I don't recognize it. Where's Darth Vader? Mm-hmm. Where's Luke Skywalker? Who are these people? Wow, oh my God.
Just like, oh yeah, another Star Wars show.
Yeah, another one.
The last couple haven't been great, so I just don't care anymore. I think that's mostly what it was.
Yeah. And most normies, to be honest, are blissfully unaware of YouTuber drama. Even like PewDiePie and Mr. Beast, like normal people don't know who they are. And if they do, in both of their cases, it was like for the wrong reason because they made the nightly news for something.
But Mr. Beast has toys now. I think if they know Mr. Beast, it could be
they
from
know
other
Mr.
things,
Beast before like PewDiePie. But I mean,
you brought up some good points here. You said, they're talking about getting blamed. They said, did Lucasfilm cater to the angry right wing fans when they fired actress Gina Carano?
Yeah.
They didn't. They fired her anyway, even though that's up for debate now because it's been the whole time. But, all the things that she was fired over, other people that work for Lucasfilm and Disney are doing the same thing. But, hey.
Yeah, so what they're trying to say, and especially in that Inverse article yesterday, was that Lucasfilm is basically kowtowing to these people. I'm like, they have been these YouTubers have been a thorn in their side for years. You honestly think that just one day they're like, you know what? No, they're right. Let's just cancel the Acolyte. They're right, guys.
Which makes more sense that a small, relatively small YouTube channels were able to get the entire, show canceled, or the general public didn't turn in, and there's been a decline in Star Wars viewership with every new show that comes out. So they figured they better cut their losses and try to, pivot into things I think are going to make bank. For example, they're pushing the Rey movie back and doing The Mandalorian and Grogu first. I
actually brought that up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know you mentioned it to me before. So I'm just like, they're making choices I think you're going to cast the widest net. It has nothing to do with, catering to the chuds. It has more to do with, oh shit, we need to make some money.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, this is not good. I don't care how you spin it. I don't care how diverse and inclusive you want to be. This isn't 2018. And we're seeing this across the board. And there's so much anger and resentment and, blaming people, whatever. And really it's, you grew up in summer, right? And everything was going your way because there's lots of free money and everybody was all about the DI and the wokeness and all that stuff. And now they're not because they lost money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I would argue that they catered to you people because they kept making bad decisions that hurt the franchise, hurt the brand. And now we're at a place where just people aren't even watching because they're so over it. I would argue that for you blaming everybody else saying that they're catering to the alt-right, even though just not liking the Acolyte does not make you alt-right, I would argue the same thing back to you.
Yeah.
Pot or kettle.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue what you're saying.
And it was also, I said it's nothing personal, it's just business. But, and also Andor, people were like, well, Andor didn't do great either. I'm like, yeah, but Andor was, there were more episodes. And it was way cheaper.
And it also performed better. However, they also greenlit it when they were still greenlighting things and weren't canceling things right and left because they had to cut costs.
Yeah, so they're going to look at the future and they're going to be like, well, we didn't renew this one yet. So, and I think, I'm going to be honest, I think the only reason this show aired at all is they were too far into production, because there was a lot of controversy around this show since the beginning. It wasn't because, oh my God, black people. It was because, oh my God, Leslie Headland and Kathleen Kennedy just kind of like dropped a bomb on the, people with this one. And they kind of marked their territory that they were going to do this show. And I think they were too far into production. But Disney, the bean counters are probably looking at this High Republic thing and like, yeah, these books, nobody's buying these books.
It's
Nobody
the bean
wants it.
counters versus the bean flickers.
The bean counters, oh my God, the bean counters versus the bean flickers.
Anyway, continue.
But it's like, yeah, and what are you going to, like, at least with The Mandalorian, they've got Grogu. They can market the hell out of Mando's stuff, and they couldn't do that with this show. The original trilogy had stuff they could market. There's nothing in this show that could recoup the money.
They tried to figures, but they're not selling. Anyway, your point you wanted to make about the YouTubers.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because if they had as much influence as these people and power as these deranged people think they have, right? And in their minds, like, they're to blame for it. And there's so many like little pockets of people that are pissed off at them. But you got people on the comic book side and the gaming side, whatever. They're all mad at these YouTubers. I think most of these guys, if I remember correctly, did not like Alien Romulus, right? They didn't like Alien Romulus. They did multiple videos talking about how bad Alien Romulus was. It had the second best opening ever for the franchise. It destroyed the entire box office run for Covenant in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So if they have that much influence to tell people what to watch and what not to watch, nobody should have gone to Alien Romulus.
No, they would have. Oh, I'm not going to go because they said not to watch it. Yeah. Exactly. There's a science term that's basically correlation is not necessarily causation. And just because you think that's the cause doesn't mean that's the case. And just because you think that, because they said they didn't like it when you did, that's why the show failed, doesn't mean that's why the show failed. It could simply be that people just didn't care. Now, some people might eventually watch it down the road and like it. Yeah. But at the time it was released, they did not care. Or people watched it, the first 2 episodes were not great. They still were some of the lowest performing. But people watched it and then it got worse. People might have been like, no, this isn't for me, and tuned out. And you always say, if it's not for you, don't watch it. People did that and then you're pissed about it. Or they just didn't watch it at all because they didn't think it was for them. It was the general public who caused the failure and the lack of renewal, not a couple of YouTubers that you want to blame for it. They don't have that much power. No offense to them, but they'll even tell you they don't have that much power. Yeah, and that's, we're very aware that, we don't have that much influence or whatever. I think we have more than some gaming journos, but that's not even saying much. Again, we're talking normies. We're talking the vast majority of people. The people that are into this stuff, only maybe 5 to 10% of them might be aware of YouTubers covering it. A lot of people are parts of fandoms, and they don't even go out to YouTube. These people complaining are giving these people more power. Like, oh, who are these people? Yeah, they're the ones giving the power. You going out there and posting those things on the internet are giving these people more power and giving, than what they had before. You're actually, making them stronger. So let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about what happened with us and the whole Comicsgate situation. I was
completely unaware that it existed. And this is coming from a guy who worked in comics for years, right? We worked in comics for years. And at that point, when the Comicsgate stuff was happening, we'd moved on to running other blogs and doing theme park news and stuff like that. And I heard that Marvel comic sales were doing really bad. And I'm like, well, what's going on with Marvel? Oh, well, there's this nasty YouTuber out here called Diversity in Comics, aka your boy Zach. And oh my God, this guy is the most bigoted, hateful person that's ever walked the earth. And he is single-handedly, at this point, he only had like 30,000 subs. He is single-handedly destroying the comic book industry with his opinions.
Which were basically common sense.
Which were basically common sense. Like, I was like, so I looked into him. I'm like, oh my God, this guy must be the worst thing ever. And I was expecting like an actual, like, card-carrying neo-Nazi, you know, to be like, oh, I hate everybody who isn't like me, and I hate all comic books. And it's like, nah, he's just some guy who doesn't like the way the comic book industry is going. And then I started to kind of look, you know, I was like, wait a second. So wait, if that's not true, what's going on in video games? And if that's not true, and then you start to see like, yeah, you actually draw attention, to, you know, normies actually start paying attention when you draw attention to these people and you make such a big ass stink about it on social media or in articles or whatever, because they weren't even paying like Gamergate. People are probably like, what the hell is Gamergate? Oh, it sounds awful. And then they start reading about it. Oh, maybe it's not so bad. Yeah, it's actually just pretty normal.
They believe it? Well, that's just common sense. You know,
it's a recruitment. It basically becomes like a recruitment ad, right? Like, oh, I think gaming journos and video game journalism is weird too. Oh, sign me up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just like, what the hell? But yeah, it's mainstream media outlet. Coverage of Star Wars has not been good. It's not just YouTubers. And if you want to blame somebody, blame again, grandma.
What do we keep saying?
Blame grandma, blame, you know, your doctor, your dentist, blame your veterinarian. They didn't watch it. Nobody watched it. The numbers are bad. For
100% certainty, I can tell you that people out there trying to cause a targeted harassment campaign are not all the fans of Star Wars.
No.
Because the fans of Star Wars didn't watch the show either. Some of the fans did, and they liked it. And some of the fans did, and they didn't like it. But most of the fans didn't watch it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of seething and coping, I think, from a lot of corners of fandom who were used to things being a certain way, and now they're going back to how they were before, but they've never known that. And I'm sorry, right? The money ran out. My mom has this saying. You know, my mom, who was a horse breeder, right? So she says, "Boo hoo hoo," said the kitty when the milk ran dry. I don't know where the hell that comes from, but that's basically it. The money has run out. And everybody's crying about it, and they'll get over it eventually. But hopefully, you know, nobody gets hurt in the interim from stupid internet drama over space wizards. That's what they tell us, right? It's just,
right. It's just space wizards.
It's just space wizards.
Not for you. It's for children.
It's just space witches. What the hell?
It's for children.
Just bean flicking space witches. What the hell's the problem? Why are you so upset? All right, we gotta wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.